Video number 25, everybody. And guess what? Hey, honey, I got a question for you. Whose channel do you think turned 1-year-old last week?
Ours.
Yep. And whose first video is about to hit 30,000 views?
Ours?
Yep. And whose channel do you think just got over 100,000 subscribers?
Wait, ours?
No, that would be Dave Kaufman. But, you know, I watch Dave's channel, so in some ways it's kind of like our subscribers, too. And as always, we have a video jam-packed today. The first thing we're going to get into is what's going on with my breeding projects for this year. I have eggs in the incubator. I'm expecting more eggs this week. I'm expecting more eggs in the coming week, so I'm going to get you guys caught up there. And we're going to really get into a discussion about python eggs. There's a lot of first-time breeders out there, and I'm seeing 3 questions that a lot of, especially people who don't have a lot of experience with eggs, are asking, so I want to touch on those today. And in addition to those 3 questions, Matt L. writes to me. He said, hey, if I were to increase my incubation temps by even 5 degrees, would that make my eggs hatch any faster? 5 degrees. Matt, are you thinking about a quiche? Listen up, my little Iron Chef friend. You never want to go more than 87 to 88 degrees when you're incubating python eggs. That's pretty much where you want to be. So, as I said, I think it's a great idea we're getting into this topic today. Hey, so the number one question I'm always hearing about first-time egg people, or just actually I should say egg people in general, is that, hey, should I maternally incubate my eggs or should I pull my eggs and artificially incubate them? You know, as far as I can tell, there's only 2 reasons why you would maternally incubate python eggs. The first being that it makes for some awesome Instagram pictures and Facebook pictures. I admit that. I love seeing a picture of a female carpet python on her eggs when all the babies are hatching. So that's the number one reason. The second reason is if you're going away and you're not going to be there to pull the eggs and you set up the female to incubate her own eggs because you're not going to be at home, that would be the second reason. But other than that, guys, as you can see, I pull the eggs. I love pulling the eggs. I can manage the humidity. I can manage the heat. I have no concerns. I stick them in the incubator. So, like I said, except for the pictures or you're going away, I don't know if anybody out there can convince me why I should let my females incubate the eggs. I know it's more natural, but think about it. Nothing we do with these animals in captivity is really natural, right? We're stimulating breeding, and we're keeping them in, enclosures. So in any event, like I said, maybe you can leave down in the comments. Maybe somebody out there can convince me why I should maternally incubate as opposed to artificially incubate, especially when I think about, you know what, the female's not going to eat for 2 months. And when I pull the female, I know I'm going to get her to eat for me instantly after she lays her egg. So again, leave in the comments below if you can come up with a convincing argument for me why I should maternally incubate. So another egg question I'm seeing all the time is it necessary to separate python eggs? And the short answer is it is not necessary, but if given the opportunity to do so, I highly advise you always separate your clutch of eggs after your female lays them. So you're saying, Gary, why didn't you separate your eggs? You have your spotted python eggs, they're all together. Yeah, I didn't do it, guys, because I didn't find them for several hours after they were laid and they were already adhered together. And given their small size, I thought I might do more harm than good if I tried to separate them. So why do I think it's so important to separate eggs? Well, you can even see here in this clutch, this egg has definitely gone bad. It's touching this one, which already has a little bit of mold on it. But the good news is these have pretty strong vein development. So theoretically, I'm not overly concerned about one bad egg taking out the rest of the clutch. But that's really the reason why I stress separating your eggs while you can. It's 2 reasons. Because if it is a weakly veined clutch of eggs and there is one bad egg could potentially take out a really, a clutch of eggs. And the second reason is that one bad egg, guys, as small as these things are, they can really smell up a snake room. And if you're several weeks into incubation and your snake room is really smelling because of that one bad egg, it's going to be difficult to separate it, especially if it's adhered to a bunch of good eggs, especially if it's in the middle of a bunch of good eggs. So again, that's why I always advise, if given the opportunity to do so, you should always separate your eggs. As we always say in the Chondro community, one bad Chondro egg could wipe out an entire clutch, and one good Chondro egg could wipe out an entire hobby. And the number 3 question I see on a regular basis is, hey, how can I tell if my egg is bad? Well, that's really easy, guys. A bad egg has a really bad smell to it. Eggs that are good, no matter how bad they look, no matter how horrible they appear to be, covered with mold, brown, stains, windows on them. It doesn't matter. Just leave them in the incubator. As long as they do not have a really bad smell to them, just let those eggs go to distance. Something also really important to keep in mind, when you're after your eggs are laid and you go to candle them, if you see weak vein development in that egg or almost no vein development in that egg, never assume the egg is bad. I promise you, in most cases, if you go back just a few days later and you rekindle that egg, you're going to be surprised how much stronger the veins have grown in or come in just over the next upcoming days. So again, eggs that are bad have a really bad smell to them. But you know, there's only one thing that actually smells worse. Or there's one thing stinkier than a bad egg. And you know what that is, honey?
What?
That's people who watch our videos and do not subscribe to our channel. So if you haven't done so already, would you mind subscribing to our channel? Would you mind liking this video? Would you mind following me on Instagram? That'd be great. So again, to recap, no matter how bad an egg looks, as long as it doesn't have a really bad smell to it, there's no downside just to leaving that egg alone in your incubator. So again, hope that helps you guys out a bit. Hey, so I want to get you guys caught up on my 2021 breeding year so far. So let's start off on somewhat of a negative note. If you watch my videos, I've talked about this girl in the past. This past March, actually, early March, she gave me 9 slugs. She's a 15-year-old Amazon Basin Emerald. She was actually produced by Tony Nicolai. So why am I showing her to you guys again? Because I'm just showing that even after her slugs, she had shed out since then. She's eaten a few meals. She has all her weight back on her. She looks absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to give her this next season off and try again the following year. That's all we pretty much can do, right? So anyway, hoping to have some Amazon Basin Emeralds over the next couple of years. Hey, so I want to show you guys, she is a Diamond Jungle Jaguar. She was the product of a Gamma Diamond Jungle Jaguar bred to a reduced pattern Diamond Python. And what's really cool about it is I actually bred her back to a reduced pattern Diamond Python. She's day 27 post-ovulation shed today. So I'm expecting eggs from her any day now. I was hoping to have them this morning in time for this video, but of course she didn't cooperate. But yeah, so she's a beautiful Diamond Jungle Jaguar, and what I'm going to do now is I want to show you the male that she was bred to. Hey guys, so this is the sire to the Diamond Jungle Jaguar female I just showed to you. And he is a reduced pattern diamond, whatever you want to call him. Stardust diamond, but I love this boy. He's pretty unique. He was produced by Grady Calhoun a few years back. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see that theoretically these babies are 3/4 reduced pattern diamond and 1/4 Gamma Jag. So they should be pretty outrageous looking offspring. So keep your fingers crossed for me and wish me luck. Hey, so the eggs I showed you guys earlier, the granite spotted pythons, this is one of the females responsible for one of those clutches of eggs. And as you can see, she doesn't have all her weight back on her, but she has since shed. And there's 18 total eggs in the incubator. I really love these things. I got to tell you, they're a little challenging when they're first hatch out because they are so small. They're the 3rd smallest python species in the world. But I always love granite spotted pythons, and with any luck, in the next coming weeks, I'm going to have some babies available. So I had 2 Chondro pairings scheduled for this season. This is one of the pair. This pair actually produced offspring last year. I'll show you one of their babies shortly. But a lot of breeding activity, guys. Non-stop copulations. I've been separating them. The female actually just shed out. As I said, she did produce last year, and I know people freak out, as I mentioned in the past, that, oh my God, you're going to breed a Chondro 2 years in a row, but she looks great. She put all her weight back on, so I have no hesitancy whatsoever to try to breed her again this year. But so far, it does not look like she took, but I'm going to continue to try for a few more weeks before I give up on her this season. And as you can see right here, this is one of this pair's actual offspring from last year, currently going through its onogenic color change. Actually just started about 48 hours ago, so as you can see, it got pretty green already. And God, I love these animals, and so you can clearly see why I'm hoping this pair produces for me again this season. Okay, I know I'm an arboreal channel, but my goal is I'm going to turn a lot of you guys on to both Savu pythons and to Conicus sandboas. I love Conicus sandboas. I've been breeding them pretty regularly over the past few years, and this little girl is very gravid, and she is due to have babies. We're looking at the end of June, so she's actually on the smaller side for a Conicus sandboa. I don't expect more than, at most, 6 babies from her, probably closer to 4 to 5, but awesome animal, super light. She was produced by Scott Miller. She's coming up on probably about 4 years old. And again, the beautiful thing about these, they're live bearers, so they're super simple. And baby Conicus, from the moment they're born, they just take live pinky mice, almost like as soon as after they shed, which is usually within a week's time, they'll take live pinky mice immediately. So again, these are due at the end of June. And if you're available, I'll be sure and let you know when I'll have them available for shipping. Okay, don't leave me, anybody. I know you're not a lot of ball python people out there. It's the only pair I'm going to show you. These are the pastel pinto pieds. Fun fact, the last time I actually produced ball pythons was more than 30 years ago, which is pretty crazy to me. But these are pastel pinto pied ball pythons. So I'm going to get super pastels and white weddings, all kind of stuff like that. But they're really awesome. And I got them because my daughter is she's going to be 14. So I got them for really when she was here or when her friends came over. I was looking for an animal that was super simple for her to hold. So I thought the ball pythons would be a good choice. And here's the female to that male. She is gravid. She's in her post-ovulation shed right now. She's just over 2,000 grams. And so yeah, you know what? And even though they're bred commonly, I'm really excited to actually produce some ball pythons this year. And people think it's really easy to breed ball pythons, but it's not, because after you get babies, then I have to learn how to get stickers made, and I have to make t-shirts, so it's definitely challenging. But anyway, for those who are interested in some really cool super pastel pinto pied ball pythons, hopefully, with any luck, will have some available in the next coming months. And for my Savu python people out there, and I know there's actually quite a few of you, it's surprising to me how many people are into Savu pythons. I think just because they stay so small and they're so diverse as far as their coloration. This is a silver Savu python. This girl is loaded with follicles, and she went off a feed. So based on last year with one of my females when she was gravid, she should ovulate within the next 30 days, I would say. So what's the thing I've learned about Savu pythons with trying to breed them over the last couple seasons is that unlike Antaresia species, you know, your Stimson's pythons and your anthill pythons and spotted pythons and your green tree pythons, once those animals go off a feed, typically it means they're gravid. There's no longer a need to introduce a male. Well, it's just not the same with Savu pythons. And in fact, what happened to me last year is one of my females, I noticed she was developing follicles. She went off a feed, and from that moment on, I was like, hey, score, she's gravid. I'm just going to let her be on her own. Well, I should have continued to introduce the male, because shortly after I felt follicles, and shortly after she went off feed, she reabsorbed her follicles. So I learned my lesson. I now have 3 female Savu pythons, all of which are off a feed, all of which I can palpate for follicles. I continue to introduce males, and until I see an ovulation, I am not going to stop introducing males. But fingers crossed for me, I'm feeling pretty good about them. I mean, she's loaded. You can see how fat she is right there. She's got to be ovulating very soon. So anyway, this is a silver Savu, but just hang tight. I want to show you guys what a quote-unquote normal Savu python looks like. So this is what we call a normal Savu python. And by the way, a silver Savu python is a naturally occurring morph. It's simply an exanthic form of a Savu python. So I just want to show you the diversity in color on these animals. You can see she's just more of a brownish color. She has some orange to her. They go through an onogenic color change. The normals are born like a terracotta red color, and the silvers are actually born a silver color. What I love about these animals too is that they stay so small. You know, I mean, this is a pretty large female, and she's only about 3.5 foot. And as you can see, guys, I mean, she's loaded with follicles. She's so fat. I want to say she's gravid. I'm just so afraid to do that. I don't even want to say it out loud. But I can tell you she is off feed. She is loaded with follicles. I have 3 females like this. And I am just, like I said, this was definitely my focus for 2021 were my Savu pythons. I really want to get more of these out there. I know so many people want them, and I'm hoping I can really come through for you guys. So again, as I say with all my breeding projects, please keep your fingers crossed for me. Hey guys, as always, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for always liking my videos and for sharing them. You've been really supportive, and it's greatly appreciated. Which one of my videos would not be complete without an appearance by a green Sanzina? I know there's a lot of fans out there. This is a 2020 Eastern Green or Eastern Sanzinia, which means green Sanzinia. And she will continue to go through her onogenic color change over the coming months. So eventually all these white scales are going to stay white, and then all these other scales are going to turn green. So I will show you her as she progresses. USARK, guys, they need our attention more now than ever. I know we're all still talking about USARK, and that's not going to go away for quite some time. They need money. I mean, the situation's getting worse, not better. And if you're able to do so, please contribute. It's only $5 a month. They do so much for us, and they ask so little from us. So please continue to contribute to USARK. And again, thanks for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing everybody in another 2 weeks. Who has the best YouTube channel? Me